Hello guys, welcome to part 4 of our video series where we look at how to code using your smartphone. So in this part of the series we're just gonna extend on our previous on our previous program. Okay, so basically on our previous program we created a simple calculator that calculates an area of a triangle, right? So in this part of the series, we'll actually extend it and say no. What if we wanted this program to calculate an area of multiple shapes, not just a triangle but different shapes? How would we do that? And in order to do that, we're just gonna learn a very strong concept, and that's the concept behind conditional logic. So anyway, so what we're gonna do, we're just gonna open our previous file, right? So it's in our internal storage and inside the folder called Python files, and that's where our calculator is, right? So basically, here's what we want to do, right? So in order to calculate an area, we need to know which shape is it first, right? So if it's a triangle, well, then we calculate an area of a triangle. If it's a square, we calculate an area of a square, right? If it's a rectangle, like that, the list goes on. So it seems to me that the first thing that we need to know from the user is to ask for the shape that the user wants to calculate an area for. So all right, so we're just gonna ask the user what is so we tell the user to enter the name of the shape. Right, and a good practice is it would be to give the user what the inputs are examples like triangle, and let's just do that, right? So that the user doesn't enter what he or she likes. So it'd be like e.g. All right, so e.g. it will be that triangle or rectangle, right, etc. Now after getting the input from the user, right, the shape, and look at that, right? So the user is going to write triangle, and I didn't convert that into anything because from the input stream that comes in a form of a string. So what we are expecting is a string. So now this is the part where we do the conditional logic. So we want to check if that shape, if the shape of the shape the user entered, if it's equals to, for example, a rectangle, so if it's a rectangle, and then you put what the colons at the end, right, and then press enter, just write them. You can see that what Python did, it's actually indented. We call indentation, right, or space. It spaced the cursor, right, to the right. So we created some space there, and that's how actually Python knows that a certain thing falls under this condition, right? So well, if the shape is a triangle, we would want two things, right? In order to calculate the area of a rectangle, would want what the length and the height, right? So here we're just gonna say enter. So we're just gonna prompt the user to enter the length, right? And again we're just gonna do it in terms of what we'll tell the user in which units, right? So it's cm, centimeters. So again we have to store this somewhere, right? So let's just store it inside a variable called what? It's a length, so let's just call it length. Length is equals to that. And again, remember, this is just for revision purposes. That input will come in a form of a string, but a length normally it's in decimal, right? It can be 12,5, it can be all those things with decimal, and then we call that data type a float. And in order to convert a string input into a float, we're just gonna have to wrap it inside this float function, and that's what's going to happen, right? It's going to change it into a float. Now let's take in another thing. Let's take in the height. And the reason I'm typing these things out is so that you get a good practice of these things, So we're just gonna say input here, and inside that we'll say enter inside those quotations. So enter height. What's wrong with me? So enter height. All right. Enter height, or enter the height. Enter height value. Let's just say to keep things constant. So enter the height, right? Again, in what? In centimeters. In cm. Right, so now let's just comment these things out, and don't remember how to do it in Python here, but I think this is how you comment things out. So let me put an asterisk here to say comment everything under that. All right, it does not do it, so we're just gonna use those. All right, it will tell us if this is wrong. So remember, when you are running these things. All right, so what's happening here? It's saying it's complaining about a string value. Is it? All right. Well, let's just check what happened. Oh, so it's complaining about these things because we were closing and opening thing. So, all right. Let's just close this here. So basically, it's converting these things into a string instead of actually just commenting them out, but there's no problem. It's just fix that here. All right, let's see if our program runs now. Yes, so it says enter the name of the shape, e.g. triangle, rectangle, right? So if I were to say a rectangle, sorry about that, guys. So if I say rectangle, right? It asked me to enter what the length, so 4.6, the height 2.4, right? That's it. Now let's run it again. So this condition under this rectangle, it will only be executed if the shape is equal to a rectangle. Let me show you if we set triangle. So if we set our shape was a triangle, right? See, it didn't show us those inputs saying enter the height value and enter this. So now, in order for it to handle what the height, the rectangle also, we'll have to use an else if. All right, so else if, else if it's a triangle. Note here we didn't calculate the area. Let's just do that. So the area of a rectangle, it's equals to the length times height. Okay, spelling error, I don't know what's wrong with me. So length times the height. All right, so yep, that's it, and that will calculate that particular area. Here, else if shape is equals to a triangle this time. So if our shape is equals to a triangle, again we want to get inputs from the user, right? So if it's a triangle, so here we'll have length. Let me just copy that because these inputs will be the same for this one. So we might as well copy that and come here and paste it. All right, looks like I pasted this twice. Let me try and run the program. I just want to see if the indentation is correct. All right, triangle, cool. So it looks like everything went fine there. Let's do another copy where we copy the height. So we're just gonna copy both, in fact, the height and the area, and we'll modify the formula for the area to be half, right? So let's just paste it there. So here we can say 0.5 times. Okay, cool. So that will be a half length times breadth. That's actually an area of a triangle. So let's look at it. Okay, so that's 3.2. All right, and that's 5.5. Cool. Now, well, now we have a program that actually calculates for two shapes. It calculates for a rectangle, it also calculates for a triangle, right? And this could be any shape, right? So let's look at it, because I just opened the display part of our program where we want to show the user the area. And here in our last program, I just see that we created a unit error. So it's a square centimeter, right? Yeah, so centimeter squared. So might as well just put this whole thing inside round brackets. for our units. So now I want you to check this program, right? So if we say a rectangle, enter, it asks us enter the length, so it's 4.2. The length, the height is 5.2, 5.3. Now look at that. So it says the area is 22.26 square centimeter, right? Square centimeter or centimeter square. Yeah, let's just put it like that. But it really doesn't matter that the units there. Now if it's a triangle, it's just gonna be, it's going to calculate this in a different way. So for triangle, again, we're just gonna use the very same 4.2 as our value and 5.3. Now as you can see here, it says the area is 11.13 square centimeter, right? So that's the whole aim behind the conditional logic. Mind you, this calculator can actually calculate for every kind of a shape, but this is just an example where we created we use it just for two shapes. All right, let's just save that. Let's just save this. Now we have updated our program to actually calculate for these two.